guys, it's Vertus here, and I'm going to be doing another in-depth review of the OBJ.140. Now, in the past patch, the patch 2.0, where clans was also introduced, this tank was immensely buffed. Now, as a summary, in my opinion, it is just as good, if not better, than the T-62A, the other Tier 10 Russian medium tank. Now, in the post-patch OBJ.140, the rate of fire was 9.09, which made the DPM of this gun worse than the FE4202, as well as the Leopard, and of course the T-62A. Now, what this means is that, well, facing those tanks is a massive threat to the OBJ.140, and it makes hill fights extremely hard, as if you're in a 1 versus 1 situation, DPM is king, and if you get out DPM'd by the Leopard 1 as well as the FE4202, well, that becomes a huge problem, as well, if you lose the hill on mines, most of the time, the game is lost as well. However, now that issue has been fixed, and I'm going to go more in depth about the gun. Now the rate of fire has been buffed to 9.76, which is exactly the same as the T-62A's rate of fire. Now it is the joint highest DPM of all Tier 10 mediums, and its weakness has been completely nullified. However, the soft stats of this gun was also extremely bad before the post-patch OBJ.140. However, now that has been fixed as well, even though on paper it does not show that. You're able to snapshot a lot better, as well as having much better firing on the move capabilities and accuracy. Before the patch, I was missing shots long range where a Pan's gun would even miss. This gun was horribly inaccurate, even though on paper 0.35 does not seem that bad. On paper, the aim time was buffed from 2.1 to 2.0, and you can really feel that in the game. Now, one of the nerfs that this tank received was its hit points. It used to have 1900 hit points, but now it's reduced to 1750. However, I don't feel that this is a major nerf, as the T-62A only gets 1800. Now, I feel like this tank, the OBJ.140, has much more effective hull armor and almost just as good turret armor, so I feel like you're guaranteed to have 1 or 2 extra bounces in the object, so I feel like the health nerf was very much justified. The same issue goes for the IS-7. The IS-7 only gets 1900 health. That's the same as the E50M, which is a Tier 10 medium. However, the IS-7 armor is so much more effective than all the other Tier 10 heavy armor that, well, it is guaranteed to bounce more shots, therefore, it is only balanced that it has less hit points. Now, after I've talked about the gun, another buff that this tank received was its view range. It was 250 before the patch. Now it is 260. This is a massive buff in my opinion, as the view range was one of my biggest gripes about the OBJ.140. Now, in the endgame situations, you're able to spot the enemies probably before they spot you, and that can make or break a game, as whoever gets the first shot off usually wins a 1 versus 1 duel. And 1 versus 1 duels are all happening in the endgame and at the very beginning of the game, where you're going to be spotting enemies as well. Now, the strengths of the OBJ.140 have still been retained since the last patch. This hull armor is an absolute godsend for me, and this is, what I mean by that is, well, this tank is extremely clutch. You can win games just because at the end game you'll bounce one shot that would have killed you, or you bounce one shot and you're able to get one more shot off on the enemy, and that, well, upsets the HP difference between you and the enemy tank, allowing you to win the game. Now, I've been having games like that all night long, since last night when the patch was introduced, and I can tell you, I absolutely adore playing this tank now, and I think I'm going to be playing this a hell of a lot more than the T-62A. So this hull armor is just as good as before, the turret armor is still decently good, and this gun depression is extremely good still. Well, it's not very good. It's good in Russian terms at 6 degrees, and it's just good enough for it to be using a lot more positions than the T-62A. However, there is a weakness about the OBJ.140, and that is how low the gun is mounted on the turret. Now, what this means is on maps like, well, on like the Lost Temple map, as well as Copperfield, is not able to use a lot of the hold-down positions that the T-62A was able to utilize. However, that is not a massive problem, as on maps with hills and a lot of terrain, the OBJ.140 does excel over the T-62A. And I do enjoy hill fighting a lot more, and I am better at that. So, in my opinion, the OBJ.140 is now a better tank for me. However, there is another weakness about the OBJ.140, and that's how high the hull armor is. As you can see, the turret is quite low and quite flat. However, the hull does come up all the way to the turret. So as you can see, the hull is quite a bit taller than the T-62A. And there's this flat part that is not on the tracks. And if you shoot that part, it is a lot weaker than the rest of the hull armor, or the rest of the side armor, in my opinion. However, the side armor of this tank is also quite a lot better than the T-62A. As you can see, it is sloped. The side armor is sloped towards the middle of the tank, the closer it comes to the tracks. Now, what this means is that it has additional angle. However, on the top of the tank, where the tracks are not located, this is not angled, and the armor is weaker. However, on the T-62A, there is no angled side armor, making it relatively weaker. Now, in one of the games, you will see me shooting this top part, and that's what ensures me a kill. If I had shot the tracks, well, I probably would not have won the game right there. And also, however, without the gun buffs, I probably would not have been able to snapshot this tiny little sliver that is the side armor right there. Now, let me go into equipment and consumables. Now, previously to this patch, I had everything the same except for this middle slot. I had vents that I equipped for the middle slot for the OBJ.140, well, because I really needed that DPM. Because of the decreased rate of fire, I need to use equipment that maximized my DPM as much as possible. What that meant was rammer, vents, as well as optics, because the V range is another weak spot that used to be on the OBJ.140. So I had to be using these equipment slots in order to maximize the V range as well as the DPM of this tank. But however, now they're not a weak spot. In optics, I just like to carry on all my tier 10 mediums. But now I'm able to install a much more useful equipment, which is the vertical stabilizer, helping me snapshot as well as fire on the move. For consumables, it's the same. Adrenaline for one-on-one fights, multi-purpose packs, and the multi-kit. Now, one thing about the OBJ.140 is that it gets set on fire a lot more than the T-62A, so watch out for that and make sure that you always keep this multi-kit handy whenever you do get set on fire in this tank. Now, this extra 1 degree gun depression allows it to be more flexible on a lot of fights, especially shooting off from mines, and I have a gameplay coming up showcasing just that. Now, after the gameplay in this video, I will have a part 2 gameplay review, where it is just 2 insanely good games in the OBJ.140 that I've been having. Now, before I end the video and go on to the reviews, let me just show you my OBJ.140 stats. Now, before the patch was released, I had about 110 games in this tank, and I had around 2,600 average damage, which is, well, not really good for tier 10 mediums. However, now my win rate has gone up 2 whole percent in just 30 games to 40 games. Actually, it's around 40. So, in the 40 game span that I was playing in this tank, well, I had been getting around 4k average damage every single game. Now, that is extremely good for a tank, and I honestly believe the OBJ.140 is one of the best tier 10 mediums now. And my average experience is up there with my Patent as well as my Concord. So, well, that's pretty good. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the gameplays, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So on to the games. Now in the first one, I'm going to be playing on mines with my good friend Zerk, who is in the Sparta clan. As some of you guys don't know, I'm in the new Grim clan, and I am having a great time. Now in this game, I'm playing against 2 other Grim members, Ethics as well as JVAV. So this is going to be a very fun fight. Now looking at the team lineups, our team outnumbers the enemy team's mediums, so well, that's very good for us. At least it's a very good start. Now, the OBJ.140 does get up to the hill faster than the T-62A, which is another one of its advantages. Now, I love seeing these kind of teams. All the mediums do what they should be doing. They go up to the hill, and our heavies all have speed boost, and they go up to the hill as well. Now here's JVAV and his FV215B, and this is what I'm talking about with the snapshots. That one hit, firing the move, and if I was using the post-patch, the previous patch, OBJ.140, that shot probably would not have hit. Now, the FV4202 in front of me is probably going to be my best friend in this game. Now, Zerk is on the other side of the hill right now, shooting at, or trying to get shots at the enemies, and I see that they have a pattern or ethics, which he's doing the right thing by going to the by going to the lighthouse, as that is the best counter to when the enemy team has mediums on mines. Now, as you can see, I just bounced the heat shell from ethics, coming from the windmill there with my, well, slightly angled upper plate. And that's what I mean. This upper plate is completely a godsend. Now, as you can see, Zerk, I should have been really paying attention to the mini-map here, or looking around, as Zerk just went down to focus fire from my Patton, as well as an FE215B. Now, as you can see, this gun depression is allowing me to just barely shoot this Patton. If I was in the T62A there, that would have never happened, but out of my corner of my eye, I see ethics, and that's what you should be doing. You should also know where your enemies are. So, I see that ethics had just poked out on the edge of my eye, or edge of the screen, and I'm able to quickly re-aim and pop a shot into the Patton, and he returns with a heat shell, but fortunately he bounces another one off my upper plate, and still, that was heat. That's what I'm talking about with the OBJ.140 armor. It is extremely good. As I'm looking at the scores here, and it's really not looking good. I bounced one off the troll side armor of the OBJ.140, and I see he is turning his gun towards me. And there are 3 guys coming up the hill, so I don't want to mess with that right now. I'm predicting that the Patton, looking at how he's been playing this entire game, I know he will have no map awareness, and he will not be paying attention to where I am. So I wait for him to go through all the wrecks, and I'm able to shoot him. The FV, or JVAV, is focusing on our E100, and I'm going to try to support him by putting one shot into the IS-7. However, I bounce, and Ethics takes this opportunity, which doing the right thing and putting a shot into me. Now, this is a really bad situation for me. Thankfully, my FV friend is shooting that IS-7, and I'm getting rushed here, so I immediately engage Adrenaline. And I bounced a shot from the FE215B there, and, well, unfortunately, I do miss that shot. And thankfully, to my Adrenaline and this increased rate of fire, I'm able to get that shot off before the FE215B is able to shoot me from the shot. Now I'm a one shot for the Patton, and here is my rescue. That FE puts an additional shot, and look at that side armor there. That was the angled side armor of the OBJ.140. If that was the T62A with the 5 less millimeters and unangled side armor, I would have died there to the Patton. But fortunately, I do live because I angled at the last possible second, and we kill the OBJ.140 together. JVAV there cannot believe his eyes, as me and this FE just completely clutch this game, and that is what this tank does best, clutching games. It is absolutely amazing what this tank can do. That was only 4.5k damage, 5 kills, but that was a very respectable 1469 base experience. Now, that's what this tank can do. Unfortunately, my good buddy Zerk there, he did make a mistake by going low, but that's okay. This OBJ.140 was able to pull this through, and thankfully to my FE4202 that was on my team, he was an extremely good player. He also got a very good 1300 base experience, and I could not have done this game without him. So thank you, Mr. FE, and that was quite the exciting games. 2 more games just like this in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please look forward to part 2 of the review.